going to tell you a little bit about Norah before I knew Norah. In 1994, let's say January, Norah was a very happy, married woman with 3 small sons. She lived in Rwanda, which is where she was from. She already had a BA. She was administrating a church that her husband and she were a part of. And then the unrest started in Rwanda. Now, Norah is a Tutsi. Her husband was a Hutu. When this unrest happened, her husband's family started saying, you need to go away so that your sons are safe, and you need to go away from us so that we don't get in trouble and we don't get hurt. And Norah didn't really know what to do until one day somebody came to Norah and said, Norah, you need to go to the church. So Norah went to the church, and there were hundreds of people there. And an hour later, everybody was dead. Everybody except Norah and 2 other people. Norah spent the next several months living in the bush, trying to survive, and she did survive. When she came out and the violence and everything had stopped, her husband was sent to prison for being a conspirator. He wasn't, but he was left in prison, and she spent the next 13 years taking him meals every week. And the jailers would say to her, Norah, what do you do that for? He wanted to kill you. But she did this every week. And at the same time, she was helping women who had been through this genocide too. And then one day, she was told, Norah, you need to come to America. She had helped a documentary filmmaker make God Sleeps in Rwanda. So in 2006, she was walking the red carpet. Amazing. But because her husband had been in prison, she was never allowed to go back. So Norah miraculously ended up in Columbus, Ohio. And in 2007, she met Tatiana Adams. And Tatiana Adams was a Hutu. But the 2 of them looked at each other and said, we are sisters. We are going to create something here that is great and is important for our people, because at that time, the refugees from Rwanda were starting to come. So they started Rwanda Women in Action. And they've been working that program ever since. So I want to ask Norah, in these years, what is it, do you think, that is so important about Rwanda Women in Action, and the things that you do that you don't necessarily get from, say, Chris or another resettlement company?
Okay, what we do exactly is something not big, but in other sense. We bridge the refugees from Rwanda, Burundi, and Congo to the new culture. This is the new culture which I'm talking about. When they come here, they are from refugee camps, which is another world altogether, different from their villages where they were before the genocide or before the wars. Once they go to the refugee camp, it's another world. So they are detached away from all the day-to-day life things that we do. So when they come here, when they come to American House, this is how we bridge them with the new culture. We teach them how to turn on a stove. Imagine a woman who has been going to get her firewood miles and miles away. And then she comes here, she just touches a button, and she cooks food. So can you imagine that bridging when you see a big joy on her face? Say, I can't imagine. Or just turning on a tap water, and then the hot water comes on. When she's been carrying water all her life on her head. So it's amazing the way we do the bridging. It's simple, it doesn't need much money, but it's simple, and that's the main thing we do. And then we connect them also to other services that are here to to help them and move forward to their new land.
Now, tell us a little bit about one of our constituents. Let's say Claire. Tell us about where she was and where she is now.
Okay, Claire found herself in the refugee camp after when all her family members were killed. She was the only survivor. She found herself, she was taken to the refugee camp by other neighbors who helped her to survive. When she reached in the refugee camp, she grew up there and she got married. She happened to go to school, half of the high school. And then when she came here, she was a mother of 3. And when she came here, she had lost hope of ever going back to school. She started with ESL classes, and then from ESL classes, she moved to advanced class, ESL classes at Columbus State. Now she has finished her STNA, and she's waiting to do the board exam. She is the happiest, and she's enjoying it because she can now even drive when she never thought she would even ever go back to school. So it's just one word, just a smile can make a difference. When they come in, when they come to us and see that we can speak their language, we can guide them. That's the most part of it.
Excellent. So you also worked with women in Rwanda and helped them after the genocide. And now you're working with the women who have come here from Rwanda, Burundi, and Congo. But what are some of the challenges, say, with the single women? What's the differences?
Okay, there's a lot of differences because as a single woman, even if you just separated or widowed when you're 20, you never marry again. You're not allowed to do that. No one, the community thinks you're useless. So you have to struggle on your own, and you're entitled to any violence because you are a target to any man who wants to misuse you. You are an outcast in the community. But when the single woman comes here with their children, they find a new land. They call it their small heaven, whereby they have the safety, they have education, they can have more knowledge, whereas in the community, they're just like an outcast. So I see that it's different from back home because the young women, whether you were 16, because sometimes they marry very young, then when you're widowed or separated, you're just done. But here, it's the beginning of a new life. So that's how I see the difference.
Fantastic. So for you, tell us, what has Rwanda Women in Action done for you in terms of your spirit?
It's been a great journey. It has taught me a lot of things. But number one, it taught me to humble myself. And when I look at the new refugees, they give me courage. They humble me because I see that I see myself a better person because I had education, but still I humble myself because I see I can learn from them. I've learned a lot from them, especially patience, humbleness, and courageousness. I've been encouraged to go back to school, and I finished another degree just in May in healthcare management when I never thought I would even go back to school. I never thought even I would be a human being again, but here I am sharing my story. So it has taught me to appreciate even small things, to learn and take one day at a time.
And a bonus of all of this is that Norah's sons did come to the United States, and her youngest son has just graduated high school, and he's at Purdue.
I'm going to ask one follow-up question because I didn't hear it. I'm sure we're all wondering. So what happened to your husband?
Okay, my husband was in jail for 13 years. And then after 13 years, Rwanda established local courts, which are called gacaca. They bring the prisoners to the village where they had committed the act, and they put them, like how we are seated, they bring the prisoners in the community, and the community tries them. So he was tried in the community, and then he got released. After he got released, he decided this is not a safe place for me to stay. He went to study in the Philippines. He's doing his PhD now, and but we are separated because the war has been really so hard on everybody, and his family said, we no longer want you. So I never even had an argument, even like conversation, to say what was wrong, what did I do wrong? But we just got separated.